It's a long story. I taught English in Manitoba. I was trained in Manitoba, and then my husband and I decided to come back to New Brunswick. And for 2 years, I would come to the MAGMA office and ask if they were interested in hiring someone, and they didn't have the funding at that time. So I was just like, can I sub? Can I volunteer? So I would try things like that. And they were like, okay. And then I subbed, I think, once or twice. And then when they moved to this location here, down at 22 Church Street, I had a friend who worked here. And she said, Angela, there's an opening for English Conversation Circle teacher in the evenings. Do you want to try? I was like, I don't know. It's only a part-time job. I was working full-time. I was teaching English to RCMP at that time. I was like, this is a good job. I don't know. But it was an opportunity of someplace that I really wanted to be. So I quit my other job, but I said, yes, I would take it. And I started out part-time, but within a week, it turned into a full-time job. It was working split shift. In the mornings, I was teaching a level 3, and at night, I was doing English Conversation Circle. I loved it. I knew that this was the place for me because I had never done settlement English before, but I was meeting people from all over the world and welcoming people to Moncton and helping them see that this was a city that they could contribute back to. And that was really exciting for me. So I was hired in December of 2010, and it's 14 years now. Next week will be my 14th anniversary. So 7 years I was language teacher. 7 years I've been manager of the language department, and I have seen the place grow from like 3 teachers. Now we are a team of 35 in language. So it's grown. It's grown in those 14 years. And so, yes, teaching English was not a career that I thought I could have in Canada. I always thought we had to go overseas to work overseas, teach overseas. But then I found that there was a place where you could teach it in Canada and welcome people to Canada and help them get a new start here. And I've been here ever since. Lots, but I wouldn't say that I've solved them. But one of the big ones that is very memorable to me, of course, is with the Syrian influx. That was one of the really big ones because none of us were prepared for what was going to come. The volume of people and the trauma that they had experienced when they came. We had been told lots of things, but Arabic wasn't a popular language. We didn't know anything about the background of people who spoke that language so much. We weren't used to teaching English to people of Arabic language backgrounds, so that was totally new for us. So we got the community involved. We had volunteers, retired teachers who were starting classes. We had classes here at MAGMA. We increased our class size, but we also had classes in community centers across Moncton. And we found that we had a lot of people with literacy needs. So we had to get trained in more ESL literacy and how to help people to read and write for the first time, and understanding, and lots of people to interpret for Arabic into English. And so it provided jobs for some people who could speak both languages. But as a language team, we were having to learn a lot of things quickly about the Arabic language and the background of the folks. And I think hearing their stories, what had happened to them back home, gave us all inspiration and appreciation for what we have in Canada and how resilient people have been and how they continue to be and how they kept going make a new life for themselves and a new life for their children here. That was a big one, of course. Ukrainian war was another big one, with many people who were, again, coming from a war-torn country that needed help. We increased our class size. We hired support counselors to come alongside and help them with any trauma that they were experiencing, just dealing with emotions that people weren't expecting, and it didn't happen on the first day. These are things that happened in year 1, year 2. COVID was another huge challenge. We had to learn how to teach online really quickly, and helping people who had no computer skills, and language was a barrier. And then most recently, working with asylum claimants, and the volume of asylum claimants coming into New Brunswick and providing service for them, and asking the government to consider serving that segment of the population with English so that they can get good jobs, better jobs, English so that they can survive in this community. And many of those people now are working or looking for work, and we've been grateful because we're seeing it come full circle, I guess, if I can say that. At the beginning, we were doing things like volunteer language classes at the hotel where they were staying. We were trying to connect them with other resources in the community. What were their needs, and finding out what their backgrounds were, and trying to connect them with employers that might be able to give them a chance for their first job in Canada. So yeah, none of those things have been solved, but we've seen a lot of people have success and creating a new life, a new beginning here. So those are some of the big ones that I can think of. The big ones, is, of course, is learning assistance. That's a nice tool that we have. Anyone who is struggling in the language class and they need extra support, whether it's pronunciation or it's with reading or writing skills, or just speaking because maybe they feel shy to speak in front of a group of people, we have learning assistants that customize learning for each individual that may need it. Sometimes it's literacy support that they need. Sometimes it's just someone to boost their confidence. So learning assistance is a big one. We're teachers in the language department are continuously working on improving people's digital literacy skills. Many have already digital literacy skills, but there are some who don't have a computer at home or don't have access to a computer, didn't grow up with computers. So we're helping people to learn to type, to click, to drag, to open, to close. So that's another resource that we have, a huge computer lab resource for students, and incorporating that into their language training as well. And then we also have support counselors at MAGMA, and these folks are available at short-term counseling for students who are dealing with any kind of challenge that anyone would have moving to a new country, whether it's emotional support, mental health supports. They just need someone to talk to that will listen to their story, and perhaps connect them with another community provider of whatever need they might have. It might be something for their children. It might be something for themselves that they need, whether it's like if they have a disability, if they are looking to volunteer, if they needed some kind of connection with maybe social development. That support counselor is here to help guide them along the way, a safe person that they can trust and build that relationship with. And I think that's a really important support, and someone who has the background in the counseling, in the trauma approach, is very important, because we know that the folks that are coming to us trust us, and they're often in a vulnerable place. So we want to treat that seriously in a kind and sensitive way. English for the workplace is a big one, and getting a chance to have English language training for work. So helping them with writing cover letters or preparing for mock interviews, things like trying to create an elevator pitch for the first time. We have programs here at MAGMA that help people to know English if they want to start a career in like childcare assistant. We have a program for something like that. We also have language classes for higher level students who have an established career, but they're struggling to get into the Canadian workplace. So we have lots, not just language supports, but pre-employment supports, helping them, like we said, with mock interviews, coming in, hearing from human resources, hearing about labor laws in New Brunswick, and what are their rights, what are their responsibilities in regards to being an employee, and things like just building confidence in speaking in English at a job or networking event, and connecting them with potential employers is another support that we take really seriously at MAGMA. And I think many people come back to us again after they get that first job and saying, MAGMA was giving me the push, or MAGMA helped me gain the confidence, or MAGMA connected me into the path where I didn't believe in myself. I didn't think I could do it here. I thought I had to start from the beginning all over again. And they realized that sometimes they just needed a little guidance, a little person being their cheerleader. And I think the language team and the language teachers here at MAGMA do a very, very good job at that. New and exciting things that we're doing is teaching them, like I said, the digital literacy skills. So inviting them to come to the computer lab, helping them learn programs where they can learn at their own pace, that are, how can I say, they are at their level, but they can also move through the content of the information, and pick what information they want to learn. So they're very self-guided, and the teachers are there to support them, help them answer any questions, and to give them immediate feedback. That's another thing. So digital literacy is a big one. I would say one of the other tools or new different things that we're trying to do is working on literacy skills. And so we have those learning assistants coming alongside with small groups of language teachers and being able to work on one-on-one with people, helping them learn the phonics, how to read, working on blends, working on sight words, getting them to help them write their story for the first time in English. And they learn how to write the names of their children. They're going through these books, the life story that they have, the text that they use to practice reading. It's about themselves. They're seeing the written word, practicing the written word, about their lives. Yeah, they read about other people too, but it's something special when you're reading through a story about your family or your experiences or your hobbies, your interests, your likes, and it's about you for the first time. And reading a book that's your first book all about you is a meaningful thing. So it's a language experience approach, and that's a very important method that we're using. And we're starting to use more AI. We're trying to learn how to use AI and how will that affect teaching for the future. So teachers are going through lots of training right now, a monthly training, and incorporating AI. And what does the future hold for language learners with AI? We'll see. That's exciting too. We're not there yet completely, but we're getting there step by step. Really good question, and it's really important. So all of the guidelines that we use at MAGMA always have recommendations for cultural content as well. So how to incorporate things that would be perhaps new to people. For example, I'll just use like talking about winter clothing, and we all get ready and we know that winter is coming. But if you're coming from a place that maybe didn't have winter, we're talking about the actual language that you need to go and get these kinds of items. But we're also talking about the unspoken written rules. Like we all know that when November rolls around, we're calling the garage to make appointments for to change the winter tires. We're teaching them culture about that, or the first snowfall. Oh, do you have a shovel at home? Do you have salt or sand outside because you're going to slip and fall? Or did you get the right pair of winter boots? So things like that. Or teaching them not just language, but coping skills, life skills to live here in Canada. And some of the other fun things that students really like is we have intercultural training, that we have trainers who will go into the classrooms and talk with students about what is culture, and talk about, we don't all think the same thing, or we don't all experience things the same way, and that's okay. And by going through that kind of intercultural training with these presenters, they start to ask themselves, why do I do what I do? Why do I say what I say? Why do I think what I think? And then we try to have them see things from another person's perspective, and to be like, maybe instead of saying, I don't like this or I don't like that about someone else, maybe be curious, ask questions, and maybe it's not what you think it is. We all have assumptions about each other, and MAGMA helps people to ask questions about those kinds of assumptions and be like, is that true? Is that right? Maybe I need to be a little bit more open-minded, or maybe experience something for the first time and be open to that. Open heart, open mind. That's what we're trying to do. And learning for the first time maybe to what it means to be living in a multicultural community is really important. We just had a really exciting story happen with an individual who was taking our startup program. So startup is a short-term language program helping people who are not PRs or permanent residents take language for 10 weeks. And they've either come to Canada, like maybe as an asylum claimant or a temporary worker or international student, and they're kind of struggling to find their way. This one gentleman took the course, and he gained a lot of confidence, and he had come with his family wanting to start something new. And after the course, he found work in his chosen field, and he said, I got the confidence to go there to apply for the job. They hired me because they could see that, I'm trying with my language. The language has improved. He did a cover letter for the first time. He did the interview. He did his resume, and now he's answering the phone at his job, talking to people in English when they don't have the convenience of visual cues on using the telephone. But he said that job, his employers are giving him good feedback. He's loving that job. He feels success in that job. And he said, it's because even just a short-term program of language learning of just even 10 weeks helped me get the confidence for this job. And he's like, now that I have that opportunity here, I want to keep gaining more Canadian experience using my English wherever I can. And so when we got to hear about his story, we were really grateful, really excited, because this is a very new program, and we can't wait to go back to the funder and saying, like, this is a perfect example of someone's life who's changed. He just needed a start, and that's an underserved community, but the province is making a change, and we're really glad that pilot was successful, and it's making a difference in someone's life. So just recently, we had a meeting with one of our community partners who is offering service to Francophone international students. And we partner with them with language classes for employment purposes. And it's been successful. We've done that for quite a few number of years. I think it's almost near its 10th year, actually, of that successful program, and in partnership with CAFE and UDM, CCMB as well, and Working MB. And now we see that we have an opportunity perhaps to even provide even more language training for those who maybe just don't quite have enough English to get into that more formal program. So we're thinking of starting something as like a how can I say, a feeder program or an earlier program for people who have less English, but going at a slower pace with a smaller group. And then hopefully it will feed into the bigger program. So that's one of the things. We also partner with like they said, the provincial government and the municipal government, identifying where are their gaps in services, where are their underserved communities, and they've been very responsive because they know that if we build the program, many people will come and then change will be made. And it's been very exciting to see what has happened with the community support, especially around, like we said, the asylum claimant population, but also with people who are speak French, but they realize that although we live in a bilingual community, they really need English for the workplace as well. And so we've been making connections with our Francophone partners in that way. And it's been a good success. And we're looking forward to working with them in this new project in the future. Assessment is a big one. Asking the students, what are your needs? What do you need? How can we help you? That's a big one. Surveying them, asking them for their input. They tell us, and then we're giving the government feedback as well about different kinds of needs that we're seeing. And so then that helps the federal government to open up calls for proposals or to give us an opportunity to apply for different kinds of funding. One of the things that we have noticed lately is the increase of literacy learners coming to Canada, and the extra supports that they sometimes will need in regards to the reading and writing skills. And sometimes it will take, of course, more time to gain that confidence and be able to read and write in another language. And if you've never been to school or have had interrupted education, and the government was very responsive to us, our needs, and helping us to get some new classes up and going to help meet that special need. Yeah. We are growing all the time, and I see that will continue as we're trying to grow as a testing center for language testing. That's becoming more necessary for people who want credential recognition or people who are wanting to immigrate after they graduate from an international student program at many colleges and universities. And so some of those students need language testing. There's another segment of the population that wants and needs that testing, but they don't have the language skills. So we are working on test preparation classes as well. We're growing that, and we want to continue to grow sector-specific language. So helping people who have an interest in working in a particular field, and then the language that they will need for that field. So one of the things that we want to continue to grow is language in the workplace. Sometimes people don't have the ability to come after work or before work. But if we had language training in the workplace where people can come maybe for an hour or two per day, it's on site at the at the workplace, and they were doing some language, and the language is connected specifically to their work. It helps the employer to retain the employees, and the employees are grateful and they are more loyal to the employer as well. And I've seen this work in other communities. I've done this work in other communities, and it's very successful. And so the people have the technical skill, but sometimes they have trouble communicating with their coworkers or with their supervisors. So language in the workplace is another way where we can grow and improve that. And we're looking for employers who want to do that service for their clients, and we're willing to work with them and make something customizable for them to meet their needs, because there are many employers looking for people who have the technical skill and they're here, but sometimes the language can be a barrier and they don't know how to address it. And so MAGMA is here to do that. And the future is bright. As MAGMA and Moncton continue to grow, we are going to grow with it and pivot and change and to meet whatever need comes our way, because we want to see people succeed, and we're a part of that, and we want to be on that journey with people. Mm-hmm.